Death is as much a part of human life as living is. And yet, we live in a society where the denial of death is the most prominent approach to the end of life. Many people do not prepare either a will or even a living will because they do not want to face the reality of death. Many people do not want to talk about dying and death. It is as if there is a taboo which suggests that talking about death will bring it on. Today, there is a huge new threat on the horizon concerning death, and that is the movement to have doctors end our lives. I do not want to go into all the arguments for and against this notion. Let it suffice to say that I think that the killing of people at the end of life is a complete denial of the value of their lives, or that one can live while dying. I do understand some of the fear in our society. People say things like, well, I don't want to die in pain, or I can't stand the thought of losing control, of not being able to shower, or of becoming incontinent. However, a good portion of this attitude is the product of an irrational and uninformed fear. I have worked for years in and around palliative and hospice care for the dying. I've been amazed and humbled by the lessons the dying have taught me. The first and most important lesson is that when we care for the dying properly, when they are not in pain, when their symptoms are managed, when they know that they will not be abandoned by their doctors and healthcare team, the dying have a lot to live for. They know their time is short, and so living takes on a preciousness that those of us who live as if we will never die can scarcely know. I recall one gentleman who came into our palliative care unit in pain and depressed because of his condition. In short order, the doctors got his pain under control. Even better, though, was how the nurses brought him back to his old sense of humor and found that his depression was based on helplessness. He was not able to get out of bed except to sit in a chair for an hour or two. But then he found visiting with his family and friends to be a wonderful experience of memory, connection, and gratitude. And these are simply other names for love. He was loved, and he loved, and life was beautiful even on the verge of death. So today, I invite all Christians, entrust your dying to God and to good palliative hospice care. There is no need to give up. There is no need to live in fear and then demand death. One palliative physician in Quebec said it all about the legislation to allow doctors to kill patients. There is no need to kill patients. We know how to look after them. God knows the hour for your death, and good palliative care neither hurries death nor prolongs the dying process. It helps you to live while you are dying. Now, I can hear a great deal of skepticism out there because I hear it when I speak about these issues even among Catholics. What about Lou Gehrig's disease, or end-stage lung disease, or brain tumors, or what have you? None of us knows what we will die from. But palliative care doctors and staff are constantly improving their ability to care for every kind of terminal illness, even such things as Alzheimer's or a permanent coma. You will not be left in unbearable pain. You will not be left to panic because you can't breathe. You will not be left to choke to death if you have no swallow ability. And the even more amazing thing about palliative and hospice care is the way the entire family is cared for. Every person in the room of the one who is dying is considered to be suffering, and whatever help can be provided is. I have seen teenagers who could not visit their dying mothers, but after spending some time with the doctor or the nurse, found out that they not only could spend time with their mothers, but that it was the most important time of their life. You see, when we live in fear, we operate out of fear, and fear destroys what it is to be human. When you live in faith, you may have to suffer somewhat, not unbearably, but you will do so in, with, and by the strength of the living God. Indeed, I have often found that St. Paul's words are particularly true for the dying. He says simply, "When I am weak, then I discover God's strength." We do not need to make our doctors killers. What we need to do is lobby our government representatives to ensure that proper palliative and hospice care is available all across our country. Not having good care for the dying is truly something to fear. And so I add a final thought. I want you to realize how much being cared for is allowing yourself to be loved. Many people fight this. They want to be independent and strong and beholden to no one. But we are human beings. We get sick, we grow weak, we grow old and frail. But as a society, and hopefully as Christian communities, we respond by caring for people. We're not perfect at it because we are human, but I have seen more love and respect for people on a palliative care ward than I have seen sometimes in people's own homes. The dying are not to be dismissed as useless or worthless or as good as dead. They are to be loved and to have a chance to love in return as they are able. That is what it means to be human and to live until the day God calls us home.